a lot in this community about seniors being together in units to share expenses and to share housing, to take care of each other. And I think that that definition of family needs to be looked at pretty carefully. So now that I can think of some examples besides six surfers, which is what I think people are trying to avoid.
Well,
Maybe
you're trying to,
you're
what
gonna scare
happens is,
people.
you try to solve what I think is probably more of a blight problem by not attacking, but
Yes.
regulating the definition of a family.
You don't want a fraternity house
Yeah,
next door.
exactly.
Right, with,
But, you
Well,
know,
we have the LGBTQ community, which is, you know,
they're related
huge.
by marriage.
No, not everybody.
Well, I mean, they're boyfriend and girlfriends, but.
I mean, there are people that live together, and that's gotta be changed for that purpose.
Right.
well, I know for us through HUD, our definition of a family changed. So, and it used to be, you know, it was a mom and her kids, and that was the family.
Mm.
But then they said you can't do that anymore. A family is however they present themselves.
Oh, really?
So we have to take that family, however it presents. So if they come in and they say, you know, who lives in your household? Well, it's mom, 3 kids, grandma, uncle, so, you know, this
Cousin.
other person.
Oh, yeah.
This is our family.
Yeah.
We have to take them as they present themselves.
And they are related as
And that-
by blood and marriage in that definition.
In that definition,
But if I present myself
but not
as
always.
myself,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, and not always.
Yeah.
Or this was my boyfriend, who, this is his
Right.
brother.
Right.
And, you know, so
Right.
we get a lot of that coming
Okay.
in. And in the past, we could say, no, we don't have to take that. But that's not the case anymore and hasn't been the case for a few years now. So we take, and so we always say we take a family as it presents itself. So we just say, who is in your family? And they give you a list, you go, okay, that's who goes into this household.
And most of the time, we don't even use the term family anymore, it's just your household.
It's a house.
Who's
That
in your
encompasses
household.
everyone.
Right, it's just who's in that household.
That's not like.
But to go back to your question you were asking, have you found some things in the city regulations? I know that's where your
Well, yes,
base.
because you know, as we have like the one large property that we purchased, which is
Right.
owned single family, and we'd like to be able to put a few unrelated people in that home.
Right,
Because we'd like to house homeless guys, let's say, in there.
sure.
And, but it's owned single family. And so even though I may have 8 bedrooms, I'm limited at how many people I can put in there unless I just put a large family and then a couple unrelated people,
Right.
right?
You want
I'd like to be able to
unrelated.
put, to solve some of our problems,
Sure.
be able to put 8 unrelated guys in there.
Right.
But I can't do that now.
But yeah, and it goes back to, Nate was actually sharing some stuff, earlier this week, about a new roommate finding service.
Yes.
That they use on the internet.
Yes.
And I thought it was interesting, I didn't have time to look at it as much as I would have liked to, but
Mhm.
I think there were a few seniors that were looking for somebody to.
I
share
get them all the
housing.
time coming in looking.
It's
And I've
totally
got a list
understandable.
on my desk of individuals that, you know, I've just got them down, you know, I'm looking for a roommate, and I've just kept a little list to
Yep.
try to help them when I see something.
Certainly.
But,
Megan, I have a question,
Yes.
as far as the, younger generation
Mhm.
of disabled people,
Mhm.
not older.
Yes.
We have a school in our
Mhm.
county
Mhm.
that is for disabled. What is the city doing for them? Because
Well,
we would like to have them stay here,
Yeah,
and they're not gonna be able to stay here if there's not affordable.
this is accessible housing.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the, one of the goals is to somehow create more accessible housing units in the county. And part of that too is finding funding for it.
Well, no, I realize that.
Yeah.
But think about the deaf and the blind.
Yes.
I mean, they already got issues. Let's make it easier for them to be able to live,
Yeah.
for heaven's sakes.
Mhm.
I mean, don't you want them to remain, the reason because I have a blind son. I want him to stay in this community because he was raised here.
Mhm.
But if by gosh, the community ain't gonna take care of them like they should, with blind, things that are supposed to be around for Braille and all that, why would we stay here?
Thank you.
That's why you did this great presentation. Address those questions. That's why we do the analysis, that's right. So we can
Figure things
One.
out.
And you've done the analysis and you focus on what the problem is, where the blight is. What are you planning to do about it?
Well, that's why we have these actions. You know, part of it is working towards a solution. We might not have a solution in 5 years, but finding the things that we can change over those 5 years to make it better. Part of this whole process is identifying what is wrong. And the harder part is identifying what we actually can do about it. So if you have suggestions or comments, that's what we want to hear, because that's what we can see if we can do and incorporate that in this analysis of impediments. Because part of it is developing actions and trying to figure out what we can do.
Well, you've indicated, education is one of
Mhm.
the problems.
Yes.
And if that's a focal point, then, I think we need to push full force with that to get the people educated so that they can afford houses when they do, present themselves with them.
Yeah,
That's-
I definitely agree. The county, this agency within the county has limited authority to change the school system, but part of our goals that we've addressed here are any housing that's developed in the future to be in areas with higher access to high efficiency schools. That's a step that we can take to give more people access to the education opportunities in the county.
Well, one of the problems I see with, the county and schools and developments is when you allow the developments to come in and build all these big developments centered around X amount of kids are gonna come into this area, and then you got $200,000 houses, well, then you still have a problem because they haven't built any affordable houses for the people that live in that community.
That's right.
So, I mean, unless the county steps up and say, hey, look, you're not gonna put 1,000 units here unless you have 10% of affordable housing, let it be a deal. Let them put some type of order there. They can make ordinances and stuff for everything else. And if that's a problem, then eliminate the problem. I mean, we sit here and talk about the things that need to be done, and we can identify them, and you know how it happened, but then there's nothing done. You know? I mean, if we do something about the disparity, we know that education is one of the problems, okay? And it's not gonna start just in the schools. It has to start with the people that's to be able to afford the houses. If we can't educate them, then how can we get the information to them? I mean, we have meetings 9 o'clock in the morning. Who's gonna be there at 9 o'clock in the morning? They got a job. This meeting is 2:30. Who's here? Who's here? I mean, the representative of the different organizations, which should be, but I mean, the people that we need to hear from is not here. Yes. I mean, I hate to sound just angry about it, but I am, because it makes no sense. If you gonna have a meeting about the public and the public is working, what's the sense in the meeting? How can you get the information to them?
Well, it is online, as she
Yeah,
said.
who has, someone don't have access to online. I just housed 30 people last night because they had no place to sleep in our church,
Mhm.
you know? And that's crazy.
You know, the good thing about this presentation is it's defining a problem, because that's the first step you use in writing a grant for affordable housing or getting a vote.
Yes, but
for-
Megan, I understand what you're saying,
Well,
but
because then you
those
say there's
problems,
no
those
problem.
problems have been defined for a long time.
I know.
This is a long time coming. I mean, you keep putting a Band-Aid on it and keeping the Band-Aid, and now it's gotten bigger, it's exacerbated so far, then you're like, okay, well, now what to do? Let us ask the community. Well, how you gonna ask the community and they're not here? We did the survey.
We moved here in 2011, and at that time, St. Johns County had about 210,000 people in it, and had, at that time, 70,000 approved single-family dwelling units by the county, waiting for the developers to build whatever they want, single-family homes. Today, we have 240,000? 243, and we have only 63,000 available, approvals waiting to be built. 63,000.
Hmm.
Now, if you put 3 people in each house, How many is that? What does that do to the size of St. Johns County? Those are already approved. And every year, the county commissioners approve enough to sustain that level. Now, why don't they restrict them to affordable housing? I don't know.
Cause they
They
don't,
don't make any money,
they
that's
don't want
why.
it, they don't,
Why don't they make them build,
they don't care about the poor.
schools and hospitals
They don't get their money.
and
Yeah.
fire
It's about money.
stations,
It's about great.
and libraries to accommodate
It's money.
them?
Absolutely, and health,
Yeah.
don't forget that.
Any other comments?
How many more presentations are there gonna be? I forgot.
This is the
This is
last
the
one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if the West Augustine CRA or somebody else in the evening wanted this presentation, would you be available for that?
It's not scheduled,
Yeah, no, I just was asking in case
yeah.
somebody wanted to invite you. Or
How
you
many
want-
did
you
you
could go
already
over.
have? Was
We
this the
had,
first one?
no, we had 2 meetings in November,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
And one was in the evening, and it was in, cause I went, and I was the only one there, besides you two.
I was there.
The 4 of us were there, and that was an evening presentation, over at the,
I got it.
Willie Gum, no, at the, Salmon Cove.
And we did that for the purpose of the working community.
Yeah.
That works from 9 to 5, and we purposely held a meeting
And we
in the
stayed
evening
till, yeah,
hours
6
and
or
opened it to the
6:30.
public, and nobody came.
Nobody came, yeah.
But one of our goals for the next 5 years is to provide more education on fair housing, and maybe we can get your help.
We will be there to help,
Yeah.
exactly, so yeah, invite us to
Ask them.
meetings and we will give information and the enforcement as well. So we do both the education and if there's any fair housing violations.
So can I ask how the word got out about the meetings?
Great.
The website, was it
Email.
newspaper, it
No,
was
some
something,
newspaper.
yeah.
Okay, I don't take the newspaper, what about radio?
We distribute it to kind of through the PIO office, I don't know exactly what breaks down, you can kind of answer that, but.
You know, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure exactly how many media outreach strategies were actually
And that's why
used.
no public.
Yeah.
But we do give it to our public relations office to release on Facebook, government TV, radio. We're required to put a public notice in the newspaper, and we always post our public notices at the courthouse in our social services lobby. I have a CDBG email list.
But you
and
say it's on Facebook too, though? It's usually on Facebook?
The county
Mhm.
has access to Facebook.
Okay.
I, as a county employee, do not have access to Facebook.
Be thankful.
I am, because I don't like Facebook, but they do put out those announcements on Facebook.
Greg, didn't we put one up at the centers where, I mean, there was publicly noticed at the sites of the meetings as
There
well.
were
Yeah.
posters right out
We
there.
also public
Public
notice
meetings
at Solomon
At the
Calhoun
Solomon
Center.
Calhoun Center in here.
It was out
But
there.
if you're not on my email list, I'd love to get your email, I'll put you on there, so you'll get all notices.
I thought that.
Might I
I think we spoke by phone, and I can tell you, when I first got here, we were kind of doing the minimum as far as meetings. I got some feedback that they'd like to see some more meetings. And we do the CDBG program, I think Greg does about 11 meetings, and those meetings get between 0 and 50 people. It's always kind of hit or miss. Both of my employees that work on this project are hourly, so I kind of leave them here at our office sometimes, especially during this very hectic period of the year for us. We have a lot of grants that are coming up, and we've actually, I was on the phone with an auditor right before I walked in. So that it can be difficult for me to schedule everyone in the evening. I mean, to be completely frank, I'm the only employee here on our staff who is exempt, meaning that the county can ask me to work whenever they want to work, and I gladly did that, we all gladly did that, especially during the hurricanes.
And we're exempt, so we can come any
Yeah.
evenings, any weekends.
But, I appreciate the offer, Megan, we
Yes,
can
I
to offer more services
Yeah.
and move forward. And I know she was actually doing a lot of things, her office is doing a lot of things, for fair housing, meaning and doing library meetings and those sort of things. They actually came over and trained our entire HHS staff, for free, which is about, I think we had like 80 people in the room, somewhere in that neighborhood that day. So we are working on these things, and the more, people come and they come and they see these presentations, and, it spreads the word. More people get kind of pulled into the circle of what fair housing is, and I came from a community where we did very little for fair housing. In fact, if she had done the survey the same way here, our results would have been probably much lower. I mean, people didn't even know what it was. And there's actually a county ordinance that addresses the fair housing, and a lot of people aren't aware of that either.
Might I suggest something? I hear the reasons why they're not getting the information, but we have GTV, right? Why can't we have these meetings
believe that,
in a room where it can be recorded? That way we can relay the information to them. I mean, we're in 2019.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that most of our notifications go on GTV.
The notification, I'm talking about the actual meeting. If they can't make
Oh,
the
yeah,
meeting.
I don't know. I have to look into
Being
that.
notified, I may forget, you know?
Right,
But if I can go back and pull it up on your website, boom, I have access. I can share it. People can get the information.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea, Ken, I'll look into that.
One thing we didn't mention, Joe, and it's just something that always has kind of bothered me. We talk about wanting to add more affordable housing and how important that is. And God knows we all agree with that. But one of the things that came up, and Ben had educated me on this several years ago, that as we work to build more affordable housing in our community, what was happening is that people were coming in from outside of St. Johns County, the snowbirds, and buying up a lot of that affordable housing once it's offered. And I thought, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. Of course that happens. And then, we're doing it for the intent of our people in
Yes,
St.
getting
Johns
in
County
there,
moving
yeah.
in, and the snowbirds are coming down and snapping it all up. So is there a way around that? To say,
Ordinance.
this is just for St. Johns
This is
County
ours.
residents?
We're gonna
Is
exclude
there a
your
way around that?
snowbirds.
Because that has
Ordinance.
always bothered me,
Create an
because I
ordinance.
never realized
You
it.
that said
Let me
can't
tell you
do
another
penalizing
interesting
the
story,
homeowners.
if I could real fast. Michelle Waller, who is here, taking comments on the meeting, she answers phones in our office. She's basically my customer service rep, for lack of a better term, when it comes to housing here in the county. She receives anywhere between 5 and 20 calls a week. And I would say to you, Michelle, what do you think? More than 50% of them are from people that are outside
Yes.
of our area, out of our county,
More
out of
than
our
50%.
state.
Right,
Looking to move
Right.
here
Yes.
and trying to find some sort of affordable housing
Or even
options.
invest here.
Yeah.
Right,
They
may be
exactly, that's what they were
talking-
doing.
they may not be
They're either
talking
buying
about
a second home, or it's an investment property.
Airbnb.
And we have
So-
not talked about
Yeah,
there you
Airbnb,
go.
that has gotten rid of a lot of the affordable housing.
It
And
has,
that's-
even in our area of West Augustine, down on Smith Street, some of those homes are Airbnbs now.
Yeah.
Sure.
And, and that's what's starting to infiltrate
Sure.
that area, because we're still kind of close to town.
And they're not rentals anymore. they're
No, and they're
rentals.
certainly not affordable for anybody,
Mhm.
trying to come in and stay in that area. So it's just, we
nationwide
don't talk
phenomenon.
about that, but it's a big issue.
I kind of disagree with you a little bit on that. I noticed that recently there was an article in the paper, and the mayor had kind of taken it up with the city council. So, I don't know how far these things go, and obviously she's kind of in the hotbed of where I'm sure all the Airbnb activity is.
Well, yeah, the Airbnb has, I think it's, for me, it's the snowbirds coming
Oh, sure.
down
That's
and
it.
snap, whenever we have affordable housing, it's gone, because that's what they're looking for.
Should we build a wall?
And-
That's gonna keep them out.
I can't believe you
Just
did
our
that.
county, we're gonna
We're good at going.
There we go.
I was gonna say something kind of intelligent about it, but yeah,
But
no, I think,
really, is there a way to somehow limit these, we need to save some for our St. Johns County residents. I mean, it's the whole reason we're doing it, but we can't seem to get them in there.
yeah, I mean, it's a very sticky legal
Yeah,
situation.
how-
I know, so that's Megan's
And we do try to
here, so.
emphasize this to people in St. Johns County
Can't do that.
to the best that we can.
Joe, what about tax relief for people that keep their houses affordable, say 15 years? What, some type of incentive to, I'm an investor, okay? I have a house out in Hastings, and I could easily get $1,500 a month. But I'm renting it for $900, so I'm taking a loss just to try to keep affordable housing here, and I don't get any help from the county.
Right.
I don't get any help from anybody,
Right.
because I'm an investor. I don't live there. I own it, but I don't live there. What's the difference? The damage was done.
Right.
Like farmers, you pay them not to farm.
Yeah, exactly.
You pay us not to rent.
Yeah.
Farm rents.
And keep it affordable so somebody can come in and qualify for it. I mean, they have tax relief funds that they can allocate.
I mean, it exists for multifamily housing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exist in
Single
For
family.
family
Exactly.
housing credit.
low-income housing tax credits, yeah.
So there's some of the problem, the disparities right there. That's what's
Yes.
causing it.
Similarly, the Section 8 vouchers.
Oh,
People can't use them because you're not allowed to supplement them.
yeah.
You know, like that change really affected, it used to be they'd give you 800.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you wanted to pay 200 of your own.
Right.
You go move in with, Jim Assault or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't allow you to, they don't, well, that's exactly.
He'd be like, I don't think so.
It's like, yeah, shh, about the other 200.
Hey, y'all
Well,
need
no, but
to-
I mean, the fact that you can't do that is really.
So with Section 8,
So you
you
can't
can't, you have
use
to
the
take
voucher.
whatever
You
they,
take the voucher.
take the
Right,
voucher,
but then
and that's it.
people-
Plus your 30%, so the voucher will pay up to
Mhm.
70%. Now, there's actually federal litigation going on, because HUD was going from, here's your voucher for Duval County, here's your voucher for St. Johns County. And it was a set amount per bedroom, and it didn't matter where in the county you lived in, which is stupid, because everybody knows some areas are. So what they, some areas are higher and some areas are lower. What they were trying to do was called small market area rent. So it would go by zip code, what is the average rent for that? So then the voucher would be changed based off of that. And then the current administration said, no, we don't like that. And that's being litigated now to solve part of that problem, so that it's not forcing everybody with the voucher
Mhm.
into the same couple of zip codes, which is exactly what was happening.
Mhm.
So that is one strategy that people have been trying to solve that. Now, it's not gonna matter in some places. It ain't ever gonna be enough for, Atlantic Beach or Ponte Vedra Beach on the water, but it definitely, if it's by zip code, then it does expand the areas people can live in. Also, there's not that many vouchers out there. There's 68 for the county, 63?
Not for this county.
Well, that's what it was some
Oh,
ridiculously
you mean the
small.
ones that are attached
Yeah,
to
the
the actual
housing
units,
choice
yes.
vouchers.
Well,
Those people have to die. But we mean the portable ones that you get from the Jacksonville.
those were
Housing
the portable
That's
ones.
gotta be-
Oh,
I think
yeah,
that's
but they're
included in that.
stock, right, they're not.
Yeah, they're on a wait right now, so we're not
Right.
gonna send many more of those, cause that's a halt, and we get, like Joe said, those phone calls are amazingly high, and we tell, there's a wait, they're looking for the Section 8 voucher, they can't get one.
But it would be good if you could take your Section 8 vouchers and then give a roommate, right? And then you pay your 800 with your voucher and your roommate pays her 800.
That might
And
make
they're
it
not allowed that
affordable.
either. You know what I mean? You have to live by yourself, with your Section 8, you have to, the rules are, I don't know what to do about the HUD or Section 8 rules, but I'm saying that is another issue, that the only assistance where you get this voucher, the voucher's unusable. And so there, it's just a double and triple win. You don't think, because I've talked about that, I've called Section 8, why can't you get a roommate?
I don't know why HUD does it that way.
Well, but we have HUD here, and they're next door, and they're helpful, and maybe we can work on that being part of our long-term solution. I don't know. Maybe HUD needs to loosen up that Section 8 rules. To find that you can live with your friend or family member.
Right.
Maybe we just need to get some Section 8 communities built. I mean, if that's the problem,
They're not building anymore yet.
They're not building
And
at
in
all.
fact, they're going up for private sale. Like Huguenot's now going up for private sale,
Hmm,
and we're asking the Housing Partnership to buy that.
Mhm.
We just bought the Southern Villas.
right.
The only federally subsidized properties that are really being built now are the LIHTC ones. And for those,
Low-income housing tax credit.
you only gotta have a percentage set aside for low-income people.
Mhm.
And most of them, not all of them, some of them, every unit has to be, but
And usually that percentage is 50% less than what it is.
Yeah,
it's a
just
small
like-
percentage, yeah.
So,
So that's why like summer
really
groups, you have
redundant. Why
some
do it?
seniors, and then the rest are just regular renters, kids, students, renting, it's also a tricky situation with that.
And I see a lot of things with growth management. Growth management gives, get like Ring Power. Okay, they were gonna build a, building, they got the tax benefit now for creating jobs 5 years from now.
Right.
Okay, so why can't we devise something like that to help the people out?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, partner with the investors, partner with Jim Assalta, partner with me, partner with people that say, hey, for 15 years, keep this house affordable, we'll deal with you. At least we can identify where they're at. We can help kind of fix this market problem. But then we're gonna have to work on the jobs. Because then if people are losing their jobs and they got affordable housing,
Right.
they're gonna lose their house too.
Well, then they shouldn't lose their job.
Yeah, well, they got to be educated though. Some of them don't have the education to sustain the job.
The great thing about things like this analysis of impediments is the whole purpose of these is instead of just looking at housing and isolation, it looks at the bigger picture. Transportation, education,
Yeah.
jobs,
Everything.
and access to employment, access to food. It looks at all of that because it recognizes none of those things happen in a vacuum.
It looks at it, but then once it sees it, what does it do to correct it?
Well,
We can look at it till it's blue in the face. It's still gonna be there.
It gives the, well, part of the problem is that under the Affordable, Firmly Furthering Fair Housing rule on the Fair Housing Act, there is no private right of action. So you and I can't sue a government for looking at this and then ignoring it.
That's too bad.
We need to change that law.
But you have
Elected
conversations
officials.
and you have elected officials.
Yeah, we have
And when you
elected
have
officials.
government officials who are in the room and are listening and are actually participating, it's a heck of a lot better than not doing it at all.
One of the things that I think is interesting is, we have a local group who is planning to build 90 units of affordable housing. And we're all glad it's coming, they're glad it's coming, and it's gonna be in West Augustine. It's gonna be a great asset for the community, but that's also gonna further increase the segregation of low-income folks living in that area.
Yep.
Why are they building there? Well, the community wants it,
Mm.
and land is cheap.
Or cheaper.
Cheaper, it's not cheap, it's cheaper than in Ponte Vedra or Fruit Cove or World Golf. So it's a tough situation, you know, we wanna put affordable housing where people want it. And of course, you can always put more units per dollar in areas like Hastings or West Augustine, but it's gonna further increase the segregation. So it's a tough situation. And another thing I wanted to note, I'm not sure if you covered it, because I was engaged in making sure that the analysis of the benefits was
Which
definitely on
proved
the
that
website.
infallible. It was there.
It was, but I noticed that our website looks like it moved, things have moved around a little bit. But not only do we see all, of course, all the snowbirds like myself coming to this area, but, and I apologize if Michelle already covered this, but we get a decent volume of people with Section 8 vouchers calling from other states, saying, I wanna move to St. Johns County, what do I do?
Yes.
So we're getting people of all different, economic situations coming to the county.
So
What
how
you're saying is,
did
Greg, everybody wants to live here, right?
but how
It's
did
a
they
desirable
address,
place.
How-
Even the homeless.
how are they addressing that though?
Right.
Greg, how are they addressing that? The question is there, how are they addressing it? Okay, I'm in up north,
I'm
I
in
got
New
a
York.
voucher, and I wanna come down.
I wanna come
What,
where it's warm.
yeah, what are we saying about that? No, you can't do it?
No,
we're
we
not
have
saying that.
referrals to the other agencies in town.
No, you're allowed to.
So you're
live anywhere in
referring-
the United States
With a-
without any
with a
restriction.
Yeah.
It's only the borders that could have a wall.
No.
No, you're allowed to move anywhere in the United States of America. if you-
With the Section 8 voucher?
With anything.
You would just have to port it to the closest community, which
Or
we
with
refer
money or
to
with-
Duval. So
Yeah.
that individual in the other state would need to contact the Jacksonville Housing Authority.
Mhm.
They discuss how they can port their voucher. Once the voucher's been ported through Duval,
Mhm.
Duval picks them up, has a caseworker, and then they can utilize that voucher in St. Johns County as long as somebody is willing to accept it.
Right.
They don't have to,
Mhm.
because we technically don't have Section 8 here, but there is an opportunity to port that voucher through Duval and come on down and utilize it.
Oh.
That's the message that we give to somebody coming in from another state.
Okay.
And we also do try to refer people to different housing solutions that are in the area, different agencies. And there have been a few situations that have been really dire for folks, and Michelle and I and Julie and even sometimes Greg have dropped everything we can to assist folks that are really desperately in need. And I think one of the things too, the department has just recently started. We have an individual who's been he's actually been getting in the car twice a week, I believe, and driving around and checking and looking for signs, and because like a lot of people, I mean, no place I've ever lived, I've always walked by that place, saw a rent sign, and I would have lived in it. So we're trying to kind of capture those renters that may not be doing much advertising at all too, and doing a little bit of word of
We
mouth.
give them some incentives. I bet they'll even bring their stuff up to par. You know, and give them Section 8 guidelines. Hey, this has to be affordable. It's supposed to stay with the Section 8 guidelines, and we'll give you some tax relief. We'll give you some incentive. You don't have to pay the high tax rate.
Sure.
You know, something easy stuff. But we're talking about people's lives here. People, they gonna die now.
One good thing that happened this week is the county finally was able to open the intake center for Hurricane Matthew relief. And that is for rehabbing homes owned by low to moderate income people so that their home can be brought up to where they can take care of the problems associated with the storm. And so those folks can stay in that home. And there is a low to moderate income housing component. I believe is it 82
Yeah, I can remember
units?
somebody asked earlier today, and I can't remember what the number was.
The planning is underway to get those units built off of 207.
But that, you're talking Hastings out there?
Um,
Same thing or
No,
different?
it'll be
Closer in.
east of 95.
East of 95. They're gonna build something?
I'm sorry?
They're gonna build affordable housing east of 95?
Yes.
They're gonna build a
Where
shelter.
I
Huh?
believe Jerry
Shelter.
said.
Shelter.
Home
Where
Again.
Home Again is.
Yeah, where the Home Again or Salvation Army office is.
Okay.
Are they gonna build a shelter there as well?
I'm
A
sorry.
shelter.
Are they
I
gonna
don't
build?
know.
I don't
I
know.
don't think, I don't
It's
know.
not a
I'm not
shelter.
sure.
It's
Okay.
permanent supportive housing.
Yeah.
It's permanent housing.
Okay.
But weren't they trying to increase the number of shelter beds out there too?
Only emergency shelter, as in, if there's a hurricane approaching, not
Okay.
if you're homeless
Oh.
and you can show up for the night.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I wanna address a question. So, we talked about snowbirds coming down and taking affordable housing. We talk about, everybody who qualifies for affordable housing getting it. With Flagler in town and all the colleges around, what do we do for our graduates when they graduate college looking for affordable housing? Where is it for them? Because you know,
Home.
Yes.
there's not, is there?
No, there really isn't.
Home.
Not much out there.
And so we want our college graduates to stay, right? Because we put money into them to go to school, and then they're gonna go to other states and give money to their state.
It's
Does
a
that
When
make
they
vicious
sense?
retire,
cycle.
they'll come out.
And then they retire, they're gonna
Hopefully.
get money.
It's all retirees.
That's fine.
I realize that the conversation has delved into affordable housing, and I'm fine with that. One thing I will tell you, in a historical context, what we've traditionally seen is housing, the affordable housing, for lack of a better term, is you see a lot of like older infrastructure, you see older housing units, and really, St. Johns County has been a small community for a long, long time. And we're now suddenly seeing this massive influx of growth. And I can tell you that even if the commission gave the housing offices $2 billion to build housing tomorrow, affordable housing, I probably still wouldn't even, I wouldn't say I wouldn't scratch the need, but I probably would knock the need by about 50%. We're a destination where people want to go. I mean, I myself am a Flagler graduate. I came back here to work, and we've got other Flagler graduates in the room. And, it's a place people want to stay and they want to raise their kids. And, there are certain, I guess you could say almost luxury items that make people want to stay. And there are things that we need folks to stay, to work in our tourism industry, to work in our hospitality, to work at our hospitals and our important nonprofits. The affordable housing issue is an incredibly complex ball of wax. Ken brought up some really great things, but there are things that other communities are doing, and am I to You know, and a lot of those types of things that are being done, where a certain percentage of homes that are being developed are committed to affordable, different types of tax breaks. You know, those are more kind of policy, leadership policy decisions more than they're things that the government, the bureaucrat deals with. But it's really tough, and you know, I know that a lot of folks go and they talk to our commissioners about them, and I've had commissioners talk to me about it. It's a real tough thing for, you know, especially when the economy is going good. When the economy is going good, this is the biggest issue. I mean, we can all remember, most of us are younger, we're old enough to remember what we went through less than a decade ago, and you know, we really started to see economic disparity between the haves and the have-nots, and people just cashing in on homes, just flipping them. It was a crazy time. And, you know, I get a little, as a housing advocate, I get scared when I see what's going on right now. And you know, I'm almost relieved when things start to level off in the housing market, because I'm scared, because it's nothing more is demonstrative of what's going on in St. Johns County, probably than anywhere else in the county, than what our housing prices are doing. When our housing is over $300,000 price for a home in our county, you can just tell that things are just exploding. I have
Not for
close.
the people who
For
live
some
here,
people, yeah.
but
I have a
it's for the
close-
tourists.
Exactly. Y'all cater to them,
Right,
but
it's
then
not for
the
us.
people suffer.
I don't know that cater is the right
Because we're
word.
a tourist town.
Now we are, but we became a tourist town, but because of historical,
Where were you?
you know?
I was born and raised here.
I was
mean,
too.
it's
If I could,
been a tourist
let me
town
just
since
finish.
before I was born.
I don't know that cater is the right word. I would say that there are market forces that are almost out of control that are driving this whole beast. And people like to make money, people like to have jobs, and it's really tough as to where you draw the line as far as when does the government step in, because we're dealing with some sort of market inadequacy, and when we go ahead and let the beast kind of run its course. And so it's really tough. It's a tough line. It's a political question in a lot of cases.
Right.
I would argue it's more of an economic issue, but this is how we deal with things in our country. But I mean, these things are really tough, and they're things that we're all struggling to deal with. And you know, I really praise our nonprofits in the town. I go out to the sites, and I go and I see, you know, the projects that they're working on. They're just scratching to find money, and all the things that they do are just so amazing. I am blown away by it.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally live 2 blocks away from Ash, and the things I take people over there to see what they're doing, and I'm just blown away every time how clean the property is. Sometimes I run into Debbie on the street. I mean, it's nuts. She's out there working. She's sweating, blood, sweat, and tears like all of us. And to further another point too, I have friends that work up in the Joynton Creek area, the north part of the county. They're teachers, so they're definitely in our affordable housing lot, probably making as much as many of our county employees are, with degrees. And all of their students' parents all work in Jackson. So, you know, and when we start counting numbers and we talk about average home price, those folks, even though they don't work here, they take advantage of our schools, our roads, our police force, and it creates a little bit of a structural, or some would say a lot of a structural pressure on our infrastructure. But these are tough things that, you know, we're all dealing with as a community right now.
But Joe, a lot of this we're dealing with in reference to affordable housing, just like you said, it's historical.
Yeah.
Now, we've known this for over 40 years, but
Right.
then you can't keep coming putting band-aids, just like you made the analogy. If you went to the commissioners and you got $2 million, well, that's only half. We're asking for $5 million, because historically, you know, this has been going on. And the only way to stop that is to get ahead of the train instead of keep trying to push the train to go somewhere. It's
Right,
not
and
going.
to use a deeper historical analogy for you, I mean, if you look at what goes on in Europe and some of the other places there, I mean, it is not uncommon. It has almost become almost a cultural thing for families to live with each other throughout the generations.
Exactly.
And I can tell you, that's not necessarily because we want to live with our
Mine
families.
not coming
It's
back.
because they can't find housing.
No.
It's
I got
tough.
13 grandkids. My kids ain't coming home.
I mean,
No,
like
no.
I see, I'd have all my grandkids.
Well, and see, I'm the type of grandparent that I'm selective. I will go and spoil them, but then I will leave.
I understand.
Okay, they be, well, where Grandpa at? He's gone now.
They leave and 40 minutes later, I'm like, God,
Yeah,
what they're
yeah, me
doing
too.
without me. I miss them.
Yeah.
But Ken's exactly right. I mean, it's a long-term historical issue that's been going on. And it has left most of our rural communities in the country are alone for a long time.
Mm.
And by rural, I mean just like
Hey.
places that are in the middle of the state, don't have some of the amenities that we have here in St.
And
Johns
if you
County.
build out there,
But I-
then you have the transportation issue.
I can tell you, I came from a primarily rural community where I came here to work, and they're starting to suffer from serious affordable housing issues too. So this issue has started to really permeate our country. And, you know, one of the things you really want to see and get some information and education on, go home tonight and go to the news thing on Google and type in affordable housing, and you'll see all the interesting articles that are just churned out daily. I mean, it's literally 50, hundreds of articles all over newspapers, journals in our country about affordable housing and what our country's going through right now.
That's good. Well, excellent presentation.
Yeah, and I want to publicly say one thing. My name's Ken McLean. I may sound angry, but I'm not. Okay, I want to get to the point, and I think these two guys are doing a great job. You know, I'm still going to push them though, because I think we can do better being the county that we say we are. You know, if we're that person, then we need to start acting like it.
I
We
think we
need to
have
go
to
to
push the commission.
commission.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's where you gotta-
Exactly. Cause they just approved $10 million, but not even a month ago. So if you can do 10 mil like that, you got reserves, come on, I'm looking at the numbers, the money's there. You know,
And
the
then what are we
lies,
doing
the
with it?
lies that keep going, oh, there's no money, there's no fun, we gotta find, really? Really? I mean, I don't have a college degree, but I do have a high school education, and I know the money's here.
Well, thank you. Too many